Hawthorne is about 6 square miles. It's one of the most dense areas of not only the South Bay in this area, but in LA County. It now has about 80, 90,000 population, but over half of them live in this 1 square mile. And for Richstone to be exactly where it is, and I remember as a young police officer going up and down the street, and it used to be just a small house. And to see where it is now, doing the same service to our community, it's so meaningful.
50 years. We've been serving this community for 50 years.
We've really seen the evolution of services and the evolution of programs and the organization.
When we went into the pandemic, most of our families lost what little support they had. A lot of our families turned to the schools for a place where they go and ask for everything. They didn't have that. A lot of them didn't have work.
You have apartments over here. They're like 1 or 2 bedroom apartments, and you're thinking a family lives there. No, 3 families live there. It's combustible energy.
Abuse escalated, but as it was escalating, it was being underreported.
When a child goes into school, the teachers or the administrators will see the bruising on a child and it'll get reported to us. That wasn't going on when the schools were closed.
The pandemic really put a spotlight on the need for mental health services.
Our waiting list increased from about 100 people waiting to 400 people waiting.
I've had people wait 4 months, 5 months, 6 months for service, and that's just because we don't have the resources to get to everyone right now.
So one of the things that we've been able to do that we have never done in the past is have a case manager look after the folks on the waiting list. But I will tell you, we really see how desperate our clients are.
We're limited on what we can do financially because to train therapists requires more supervisors, and we're just not able to hire everyone on.
You know, 85 to 90% of most of the revenue for a nonprofit comes from government. We, on the other hand, we only get 50% from the government. The other 50% comes from the private sector. A lot of government contracts that we get might only say you can only see a client for 10, 11 times, 14 times. Well, sometimes it requires more than 10 or 11 or 14 times.
We're able to see our clients until the symptoms are completely eliminated or they're in a much better place than they were when they got here. So there is no limit, there is no number of sessions, and that is huge.
We're so grateful for the help of the private donors, the foundations, who are really responsible for enabling us to serve those individuals who are in such high need.
I grew up in a home where domestic violence and child abuse took place on a level of torture. And when I say torture, I'm not exaggerating. As a child, I was beaten, I was tied up, I was locked in closets, hammered, burned. And this was at a time when there were no shelters for my mother to turn to. There were no hotlines for her to call. If only there had been a Richstone when I was a kid that I could have turned to. So for me, it really means a lot that when I come here and I see a lot of the children that are being so well taken care of and educated and just loved, I see myself there.
Every child that walks through that front door, I want to make sure that they have a chance for a productive and a healthy life.
I always tell our officers that being able to provide help, show compassion, to make a difference in somebody's life is actually a privilege, and we should never take that for granted. And that's why it's so important, so vital to have Richstone here to continue the service and hopefully increase, the level of service to our community and to have the funding to do that, because if not, then we lose a whole generation of young men and women. Your help in providing those resources is going to make a direct impact.
We have the infrastructure to grow, to take care of this unmet demand. Join us in fighting this battle to reduce child abuse and domestic violence.